I wrote it because I needed it.
Okay.
I tell people all the time, I'm a product of the product. Like I genuinely needed to learn how to live in the power of peace, clarity, and courage. And that's really the heart and essence of the book Exponential Living. It's the heart and essence of the work that I do. And how I got there, honestly, is I crashed and I burned. I had this amazing career working at LaFace Records. I love the artists I work with. I was honored to do the marketing for Usher, Toni Braxton, TLC, Outkast. I mean, these are like legendary artists. And, I realized, people say, why did you resign? The truth of the matter is I crashed and I burned. And so in that crash and burn, I realized that money would never buy happiness. I realized that my titles and the purses, the cars, all of these external things weren't going to give me the one thing I desired, which was peace.
Yes.
And when I realized that I needed that, I needed peace, and then I can enjoy all of those other external things. And so I went on this journey to really discover, how do you stop spending 100% of your time on 10% of who you are?
Hi, I am Aboimboro, a corporate girl who also has multiple passions. When I'm not at my 9 to 5, I spend time focusing on growing my small side business that I love. I created From Stack to Unstoppable podcast to give you simple, actionable strategies to help you get unstuck from limiting beliefs and find your purpose. If you're a professional, a 9 to 5er, or an aspiring entrepreneur and are looking to get out of your comfort zone, use your God-given talents and passion, you, my friend, are in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of From Stack to Unstoppable podcast. Now, if you clicked on this episode, then maybe, just maybe, you're here because you're running on fumes and are not showing up as the best version of yourself. Maybe you've got this great career or business, but you still feel empty and that there's something more. My guest today was there too. Her name is Dr. Sheri Riley. She's the founder and president of Exponential Living, which empowers high performers to grow personally and dominate professionally. Dr. Sheri is an empowerment speaker. She's a high performance life coach, a founding member of John Maxwell's Global Maxwell Leadership Certified Team. She's a recipient of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award and an award-winning author of Exponential Living, Stop Spending 100% of Your Time on 10% of Who You Are. She speaks and trains at companies like the NBA, Chicago Bears, Seattle Storm, the Coca-Cola Company, and JP Morgan Chase. In the 90s, she had an amazing career. She was working at one of the biggest recording labels, LaFace Records, marketing some of the most legendary artists like Usher, Toni Braxton, TLC, just to name a few. However, she crashed and burned. She realized that money would never buy happiness and that the only thing that she desired was peace, so she could enjoy all those other external things. After going on a journey of self-discovery to find peace, she discovered an amazing principle which she started living by and even went on to write a book about it to help others do the same. So I won't keep you waiting any longer. Let's bring Dr. Sheri. Hi, Dr. Riley. It's so nice to have you on my show. Welcome.
Thank you. I am excited. I've been looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. Me too. Now, for those who don't know you, please tell my listeners who you are.
Well, I am Dr. Sheri Riley. I always say I'm a wife, a mother, a daughter, and an entrepreneur. And we all know that it's not easy, but I have figured out how to make it simple.
Very good.
Yeah, that's my thing. And I honestly, I've been called to save lives, families, careers, and financial legacies.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, first, I want to congratulate you. Yesterday was National Authors Day.
Yes.
And you wrote a book, beautiful book.
Yes.
Exponential Living, stop spending 100% of your time on 10% of who you are. Now, this book, when I read it, and I read it during the pandemic, it changed my life. And I started following you. You became my online mentor, and here we are. So dreams do come true.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, thank you.
you're welcome. So please tell us why you wrote this book, Exponential
I
Living.
wrote it because I needed it.
Okay.
I tell people all the time, I'm a product of the product. Like I genuinely needed to learn how to live in the power of peace, clarity, and courage. And that's really the heart and essence of the book, Exponential Living. It's the heart and essence of the work that I do. And how I got there, honestly, is I crashed and I burned. I had this amazing career working at LaFace Records. I love the artists I work with. I was honored to do the marketing for Usher, Toni Braxton, TLC, Outkast. I mean, these are like legendary artists. And, I realized, well, people say, why did you resign? The truth of the matter is I crashed and I burned. And so in that crash and burn, I realized that money would never buy happiness. I realized that my titles and the purses, the cars, all of these external things weren't going to give me the one thing I desired, which was peace. And when I realized that I needed that, I needed peace, and then I can enjoy all of those other external things. And so I went on this journey to really discover, how do you stop spending 100% of your time on 10% of who you are? And as I began to live these 9 principles that are in my book, it was 9 principles that really came together as the core of that journey. As I began to live those principles, I started to realize, oh, wow, this isn't just something that's helping me. This is genuinely something that can impact others. And that's what encouraged me to put them all in a book.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. It's still hard to believe that someone can even pass up an offer to become Asha's marketing person, representatives. But I hear you, and we're going to talk more about that, because that must have taken a lot. Just
Yeah.
leaving that kind of work, which we think everybody would think, oh my goodness, she has it all. She has it
Yeah.
all. Yeah. Very good. So now tell me, have you ever regretted leaving that job?
No, because I realized later that was only one of my dreams. I also wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I've been blessed to do that for 25 years. And so a lot of times when people are, they say they're, frustrated, or they feel like they're missing something. A lot of times it's because we stay in our dreams too long, because we think that we only have one dream. And so that was a phenomenal moment in my life. I still have great relationships from that time. The success I achieved, the plaques, I still have the
I
plaques.
see that. Yeah.
And but no regrets. No regret. I think the only regret that I would have had is if I didn't try, because it took me so long to get to that dream, that the only regret would have been if I didn't stay committed to the sacrifice to actually realize the dream.
Right. And it sounds to me like you've always been very, did you do visualizations when you were 7? Because when you were 7, you used to sing, and you would be, you wanted to be a speaker. Now you're a speaker.
Mhm.
When you were 15, you wanted to work in the music industry. Now, and you did that. How did you do that at that age? Who influenced you to have that kind of mindset?
Yeah, I must say I'm a woman of faith. I don't put my faith on anyone. But no, I didn't have a vision. I didn't do a vision board. None of that.
Yeah.
Um, I genuinely, it was, and now I know that it was God really speaking to me, what he had purpose for my life. But at the time, I just knew it was this dream. Like that was all I knew. And I just locked into that dream. And it was such a burning inside of me. And I really didn't even have the details around it. Like I knew I wanted to work in the music industry, but at that time, I'm gonna date myself. But this was before the internet and before cell phones, and before we had access to the business around the entertainment. But I just knew it's what I wanted. And it was such a drive, such a push. And that's honestly how each transition has happened for me, where I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So when it was time to resign from LaFace, it just made sense for me to now start this next journey. Being a speaker, now scaling a personal professional leadership development company. Now I understand that was a part of the visualization. But for me, it was always this internal drive that I had.
The internal drive. Yes, it's interesting how I was reading about, you how when you're in college, I think you had this goal of interviewing, I don't know how many people, 20 people in the company, whatever you wanted to do, and you would write these cover letters and you would just mail them and call them. I love that drive, and that speaks to why you are where you are right now. That drive.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, that's beautiful. All right. So in your book, I really loved all the principles. And one of the number one, now the principle number one, live in your power. I'd like to talk for you to talk a little bit about power. And I know the acronym power, perspective, ownership, wisdom, engagement, and results. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I love that living.
Yes. What's so interesting is when I first started working on the book, living your power was the third principle. Pursue peace and a positive mind was the first principle, because logically, if I'm writing about the power of peace, you would think that's where you start, right? But as I really began to work through these principles, I realized and work with my coaching clients, I realized that we can't get to a place of peace unless we are empowered to make decisions.
Right.
And live in your power, the first principle is really about decision making. It's about choices. And so that acronym, perspective, ownership, wisdom, engagement, and reward, it really is about, the first step is, what is that perspective you have? What are the barriers that are really limiting your beliefs? What are the barriers that have been created due to past hurt or past trauma? What are the barriers that we've created just from an environmental or cultural reality or from fear? And so, first is that perspective. And then you got to take ownership, right? You got to take ownership of what we actually are supposed to focus on. And when we get that perspective, we take that ownership, then we get the wisdom to really decide when opportunities are distractions, right? There's so many times, there's so much we could do. But for us to really live in our power, we have to get clear on what our steps are. And that really comes from that wisdom. And then there's the engagement, right? We got to stay committed to the sacrifice. We got to stay committed to excellence. We got to stay committed. And that comes from being engaged and being present. And the last is then the reward or the results. It's like, once we get our perspective, we take ownership on what we focus on. Once we get the wisdom to be intentional about our plan so that we can recognize when opportunities are distractions, when we get engaged and know how to stay present and focused, then that's when we get the reward. And it all starts with that before we can even move forward.
I like that. And that reward, even just celebrating the small wins, right?
Yes.
Right.
Very important to celebrate small wins. Yes.
Right. Yes. And then I also, another thing that I loved here in the book, it talks about the pain points that sometimes we have. And sometimes you might be in a position where, like for myself, I have a 9 to 5 that I really like, but I really wonder sometimes, have I really exploited all my talents? And so I feel like I would like to do more. Now, how do I find the balance? How would you advise someone to find the balance who loves what they do, but they want something else?
Well, the first thing I would do is strike the word balance. I don't believe in balance. I believe in full life integration. I believe in time allocation. And it really does boil down to those things. Like, how do you allocate your time? And that really starts with, most people believe it begins with, okay, what all do I need to be doing? Well, one of the first steps is, what all do you need to stop doing? Like, what are you still doing that no longer serves you? Are there meetings that you're still taking that you just don't have to do anymore? Are there places you're going that's no longer serving you? And so it's in that, what do we need to remove? And then what do we then focus on moving forward? And so in that time allocation, and then in that full life integration, how you said you've got this amazing career you love, and you have this new venture that's, you know, a burning desire to really serve and help people, and there's all the extensions in that.
Yes.
So with that, it's then, how do you in that place of fulfillment, right? It's like, I've got the career, I've got the family, you've got those amazing twins, like you've got all these, but there's something missing. And
Right.
that's honestly why I started my Power Broker Academy, is to really speak to that pain point of, okay, I know like everything is great. I don't want to change anything, but I still know something's missing. And
Right.
so what is that? What is that thing that's missing? And then being able, through practical solutions, to be able to then allocate the time so that you can still enjoy the things you have while adding this new dynamic to your life. So that's that full life integration. Balance says, oh, I can just make all of this happen. And yeah, no, you can't.
Not possible.
Not at the same time. I'd say
Yeah.
we can do it all. We just can't do it all at the same time.
Can do it all at the same time. And that balance integration, maybe it's also even enlisting friends who sometimes can help you out with some of the most important things that you have while you focus on, you know, what it is that you're doing. That's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe in collaboration, partnerships. I believe it takes a village. I believe in barter relationships. You know, the name of my company is Glue, and it originated from developing partnerships that stick. So I believe in that community.
I believe in community too. Yes. And now Glue is, you had a company for 17 years. And were you doing consultancy then? And then you became a
Yeah.
licensed artist, or how did it tell us?
Yeah, so when I resigned from LaFace Records, I started Glue, which was a strategic consulting firm. And our core competencies was partnership brokering, talent procurement, marketing communications. Our clients were Converse, Nike, Coca-Cola, TNT, the NBA. I loved that company. I loved the work we did. It was the perfect marriage of sports, entertainment, and business, which are the three things that I love. And but what was interesting, like I said, as a woman of faith, when I started my company Glue, when I resigned from LaFace, I always knew that the strategic consulting was a bridge.
Okay.
Like, I knew it wasn't the end. I knew it was the bridge. So that it was the bridge to Exponential Living, which is my personal, professional, and leadership development company. And with Exponential Living, we empower high performers, specifically professional athletes, corporate executives, entrepreneurs, on how to grow personally and dominate professionally. And so that 17 years of having my company, the strategic consulting side, it really empowered me with the business knowledge to really serve as a high performance life coach. That's the reason I always say personal development fuels professional growth, because wherever you're looking to grow professionally, 100% of the time, there's a personal development area that you got to focus in on. So having Glue for 17 years really empowered me to be even more effective with the company Exponential Living.
Exponential. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, personal development really is I guess, the foundation to professional development, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you're a woman of faith, and you know, I look at your social media. You know, when you're posting on social media, it seems like you're very grounded on your faith. And how has that as a professional helped you, just being very grounded and knowing?
Yeah. Oh, it's my North Star. It's my compass. It's my North Star. And as I shared, you know, when I transitioned out of LaFace, you know, God really spoke to me on every step of the way, even before I knew, when I was a high school kid, and he was, my spirit. I knew I wanted to work in the music industry. But it's really the core and the compass of everything that I do.
Good. That's good. Now, when you were, I just want to talk about also in your book that you talk about, and I'm gonna read here. It's principle number 5. It says, "Stop working, start maximizing." Now, what's the difference between working and maximizing? How do we maximize?
Yes. So I'll tell a quick story. I've always been that person that was like, go, 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 go. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I got all this stuff I need to do. I gotta go. And I really prided myself on being a hard worker. And so there was a moment when I was at LaFace Records, and L.A. Reid, who's one of the co-founders, co-presidents of the company, he was standing in the door of my office, and he'd probably been standing there a minute. I was, I'm doing like this, head down, working. And when I finally realized he was there, he was like, Sheri, you are a marketing genius. Like, you are responsible for the success of, millions of record sales for my artists. He was like, but your career is going to be limited because your head is always down working.
Wow.
And honestly, I was so lost because I'm like, why is my boss telling me not to work? Like, it didn't register. And I was just like, okay, and put my head back down because I had work to do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And about 10 years later, I was flying back. At this point, I'm married. My daughter was about 3 years old. And there was this big sports event, a week-long event that I used to go in and volunteer for. And it was so much work. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. It was just the creme de la creme. It was a celebrity NBA basketball game, comedy show, but it was for a nonprofit. Yeah. And so I'm on the plane and I'm flying back. I've pretty much been up for 7 straight days, and I'm absolutely exhausted. And I've now got to come home. I've got to be a wife to my husband. I've got to be a mother to this 3-year-old who's going to just want all of my love and attention.
Yeah, mommy's home.
And I'm on that plane, and it was, as exhausted as I was so fulfilled with the work that I'd done. I was so excited about going home to my husband, spending this time with my daughter. Yes. And that's when it really registered what LA was talking about. I realized in that moment is that when you are maximizing opportunities, you are allowing yourself to show up at your highest level of excellence, understanding what needs to be done of you, but more importantly, the mindset you have around it. Yes. When you're working, you're just constantly got your head down trying to check off boxes. You don't enjoy it. There's something missing. It weighs you down, right, and you're not in your full brilliance. And so that's when I resigned from working, and I really committed to maximizing opportunities, just always being present, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, psychologically, and really showing up at my highest level of excellence in all of those areas so that I could truly maximize every opportunity.
Maximize every opportunity in all areas of your life.
Yes.
Very good. Now, most of my audience and the clients that I work with are professionals who are they feel they want more, but they are stuck in limiting beliefs of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and maybe sometimes even perfectionism. What strategies would you give them to overcome these limiting beliefs?
Oh my goodness, that is such a big one. I mean, and I go back to my Power Broker Academy because that really is, one of the hearts of why we do the work we do. Power Broker Academy is an 8-week mastermind with like-minded individuals. And what really draws a lot of those high performers that you serve and I serve is that there's this high level of drive, but not necessarily the equal amount of confidence, right? Sometimes we struggle with knowing our own value. One of the reasons we work so hard is because instead of us knowing and owning our value, we're always seeking validation.
Yes.
And right. And
Yes.
so, you know, the real key to that is, you know, how do you really work on bridging that gap between the confidence and the drive? How do you become very intentional about elevating your value versus this need for validation? And that really is the core of a lot of the work that we do, because you can't outrun your own confidence. Like,
No.
no matter how much success you have, you still show up. And at some point, the external accolade is not going to be enough.
Right, right. And I do love what you say. I believe you said clarity. I think you teach on clarity and then living courageously. Tell us, what are the three? There's something else. I know I'm missing one thing.
Pursuing peace,
Pursuing peace, yes.
choosing clarity, and living courageously.
Right. Now, does that go in that order? First, pursue peace?
Pursuing peace, yes. We pursue the peace. And whenever we pursue peace, it's going to give us clarity.
Right.
And when we bring peace and clarity together, we're always going to get the courage. It's always a peace, clarity, and courage. Those three together,
Yes.
it's the power of exponential living.
I love that. Now, one more thing. What is the difference between success and significance? You talk about it in your book.
Yes. So success is, you know, the external accolades that feel good, right? Significance is that internal impact that your brilliance, your greatness brings to external factors, with or without accolades, with or without financial benefit. It's, you know, that thing they say, find the thing you love to do if, you know, if money wasn't an issue. And it's like, how do you genuinely make that impact, whether money is a part of it or not? And that's, and a lot of times, you know, now there's this level of, you know, you work hard, you get to success. And then when you're a billionaire or a multimillionaire, then you want to focus on significance. Well, I believe we can focus on significance at any level.
Right.
You know, how many stories have you heard of the janitor who worked hard and was the most impactful person in the entire school, beyond the principal, beyond the teachers, because they were focused on the significance, the impact they could have with everyone they touch. I think that's such a critical component of our overall joy.
Beautiful. So service, just to always have that service in mind, not just success, and nothing wrong with success, the financial part of it, but it's again being well-rounded in all areas and having and focusing on who can I serve.
Yes.
Awesome. And now that's what I know we can learn a lot from you and from your Power Broker Academy. And I'd love for you to tell us, how can my listeners find you?
Yes, so I would love to connect on Instagram and or YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. And all of the LinkedIn is SheriRiley.com, DOTCOM. Instagram, my website, and YouTube is Sheri Riley, so SheriRiley. And then also you can definitely sign up for a discovery call regarding our Power Broker Academy at powerbrokeracademy.com.
Beautiful. Now, one thing I love about you, when I listen to you, even when you're doing your interviews, you have this laughter that comes from your soul.
Yeah.
It's just big, and it feels me. I just feel like, oh my God, I want to listen again to her laughter. I think that's part of exponential living.
Yes. Laughter, I really believe it's one of the most innocent, purest, most powerful points of our joy. And just laughter. And, you know, there's been, you know, scientifically proven data out there that says, you know, if you're struggling with an illness or terminal illness, laughter can definitely impact your health and your wellness. But I think it's just one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. I always say is laugh and not be laughing at not just a Kevin Hart movie, right? Just for the purity of just laughing. Funny story, when I was first starting in the industry, and I was, you know, brand new in the entertainment industry, and there was these senior level executives, and one of them was the senior VP at the time. And I came in for a meeting and I started laughing. And he immediately came over and started talking to me. And like, this was big. Like, I'm literally just, I'm working part-time at a company, and, the senior executive comes and starts talking to me. And he said, it's like, your laugh. He's like, you'd be on calls and I'd hear you laugh. And he's like, it's just something about your laugh. And
Yes.
I remember that to this
Yeah.
day, the
Yeah.
power of just laughter.
You do. You have this genuine laughter that's just, you can tell that it's coming from inside, and that's beautiful. So that's
Thank
very,
you.
very, very beautiful. I love that. Dr. Riley, I could talk to you all day. I thank you for your time. I know this conversation is going to be very helpful to my listeners, and I can't wait for them to find out more about you. And I really thank you for being here.
Thank you. It was my purpose and my pleasure, and I'm so grateful that you invited me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Wow. How great is that exponential living concept of peace, clarity, and courage that Dr. Riley shared? She's such a wealth of knowledge. And I love that all of her advice to entrepreneurs and high achievers is based upon her own experience after crashing and burning, and then being able to figure out a way to make it simple and live exponentially as an entrepreneur, as a wife, as a mom, as a friend. And she just brings it all into what she teaches. Now, my favorite thing that Dr. Riley shared is to scratch the word work-life balance. This notion of juggling it all, and to welcome the term life integration. And the first step is to figure out what do you need to stop doing so you can allocate time to what matters. So DM me on my Instagram, I'm wamboig.burrow, and tell me what your takeaway was and what you're going to stop doing. Now, if you love this episode, please rate my podcast. I would greatly appreciate it, and hopefully you leave a 5-star rating. Now, if you think of someone else who might benefit from it, please share it. It really helps me get out to the people that need the podcast the most. And until next time, take care. Now, if you're tired of being stuck in limiting patterns, but know that you're made for more, but these beliefs are holding you back from moving to the next level of your career or your business, I have 3 open one-on-one coaching spots beginning today. In this one-on-one coaching program, I am going to holistically assess your level of fulfillment in all the key areas of your life so you can foster that bulletproof mindset and have clarity and that courage to succeed in your life and your career. So please go to the show notes here and book a 30 minutes discovery call. You're going to see a link there. Book a call with me so we can see how I can support you. You can also go to my Instagram page, which is wamboig.burrow, and click on the link tree in my bio and get the link there as well. I hope to see you soon. Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, please take time to review and rate it. It's the fastest and easiest way to say thank you for creating this content. Until next time, keep thriving. I cannot wait to see you next week. Take care now.